eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any mental illness, and anorexia specifically carries the highest risk of death of all psychiatric disorders. I'm currently pursuing my Master of Arts in Counseling and Addictions so that I can be a therapist for women with eating disorders. I'm here to share what I have discovered through my studies of disordered eating and how that applies to the normative population, and that's you guys. What I found is that a majority of our healthy eating behaviors, well, they're actually unhealthy. They don't come from science or research or results. They are watered down, normalized versions of behaviors seen in people with eating disorders. Now, let me preface the rest of my talk by saying that if you do any of the behaviors I mention, I am not saying you have an eating disorder, because these behaviors are not criteria for an eating disorder. Eating disorders are life-threatening and severe. They interfere with social and occupational functioning and involve severe distress or concern about body weight or shape. Whereas what I'm talking about today are the nuances of eating disorders. So these are behaviors seen in people with eating disorders that we have adopted, watered down, normalized, and called healthy. One of the most common healthy eating behaviors is going on a diet. Now here's the thing. No one makes a New Year's resolution saying, 2019 is the year I finally ignore my health. I want to gain 30 pounds, get diabetes, and increase my risk of heart disease. No, we all want to be healthy. The problem is that in our attempts to get healthy, we do things that are actually unhealthy. So back to dieting. The reason dieting isn't healthy is because it's all about restriction and it's not sustainable. When people go on diets, they drastically change their eating habits and limit their food to only a handful of options. You cannot survive on only chicken, broccoli, and rice for the rest of your life. So where did this healthy eating behavior come from? It comes from anorexia nervosa. Anorexia is characterized by extreme restriction and can look like eating only 200 calories per day. While today's dieting trends are not nearly as severe or strict, the mentality is the same because they both focus on restriction. And the problem with restriction is that it limits the body's intake of diverse nutrients that are vital for key metabolic functions. So instead of restricting and dieting, learn to differentiate between all-the-time foods and sometimes foods. There's no need to restrict yourself when it comes to things like fruits, vegetables, eggs, nuts, whole grains, lean meats. And then foods you eat occasionally would be things like carbohydrates or desserts. With this approach, no foods are completely off limits, so you're not deprived, and you'll develop sustainable lifestyle habits that outlast any fad diet. Have you ever forced yourself to go to the gym after eating unhealthy? Too many people work out solely to burn calories, and they view exercise as a form of punishment. This behavior comes from bulimia nervosa. And bulimia is characterized by a cycle of binging and purging. Most people probably think of self-induced vomiting when it comes to bulimia, but other compensatory behaviors include the misuse of laxatives, diuretics, or other medications, fasting, and excessive exercise. Bulimics will spend hours trying to burn calories they consumed in a binge, and they're often motivated by self-hatred. They'll continue to work out despite injury or exhaustion. This behavior has been normalized and watered down to where we think we have to spend hours in the gym burning calories if we want to be healthy. However, research shows it's not how many calories you burn or how long you work out that matters. It's about the intensity of your workout. A study found that those who did 75 minutes of intense exercise per week had a 66% fewer chance of developing metabolic syndrome than those who worked out twice as long doing moderate activity regardless of calories burned. Another normalized behavior is the use of laxatives and diuretics for weight loss. I first learned about this in pageants because girls use water pills, which are another name for diuretics, to prepare for the swimsuit competition. But I later realized this isn't something just pageant girls do. It's actually quite surprising how common it is for people to use laxatives as a form of weight loss, even though research clearly concludes that neither laxatives nor diuretics are safe or effective for weight loss. So clearly this behavior doesn't come from research, and it doesn't come from results either, because all you might lose is temporary water weight. Laxatives don't get rid of calories or prevent the absorption of calories or get rid of body fat. The misuse of laxatives and diuretics are normalized, less severe versions of the purging behaviors of bulimia. Now, we all overeat from time to time. Binge eating disorder is different, though. It is marked by eating a large amount of food in a short amount of time, accompanied by shame, distress, and a sense of lack of control. A binge episode could look like ordering full-size meals from 3 different fast food restaurants on your way home from work, right before eating a full-size dinner with your family. Now, this behavior has been watered down and normalized, and we call it cheat meals or cheat days. Now, there's this emotional piece involved with binge eating disorder, as well as other eating disorders. You see, eating disorders are very rarely ever just about food. Eating disorders occur when individuals abuse the use of food to cope with problems they have. And we see the same principle in the normalized behavior of emotional eating. Eating comfort foods like simple carbohydrates and foods high in sugar do make you feel good temporarily because sugar triggers the release of dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter of comfort and pleasure. However, these effects are short-lived, and research shows that over time, a sugary, fatty diet can decrease dopamine levels, and overeating can actually make you feel worse about yourself. Remember this: health isn't an overnight process. We all want to be healthy, but we must be careful not to confuse the normalized, unhealthy eating behaviors for eating habits that are truly healthy and sustainable. Thank you.